The day we burned our family photos did not begin with fire. It began with a knock. Not the urgent kind, not the violent kind, just a firm, deliberate knock that carried authority. By then, we had learned to recognize the difference. My mother froze mid-step when it came. My father did not look surprised. He only looked tired. Outside, boots shifted against the stone path. Paper rustled. Another knock. My father opened the door before they could strike it again. Two men stood there, uniforms pressed sharply, faces expressionless. One held a clipboard. They did not enter immediately. They did not need to. Routine inspection, one of them said. Routine. That word had become elastic during the war. It stretched to cover almost anything. They stepped inside. Their eyes moved carefully over the room. The bookshelf, the framed pictures on the wall, the small clock above the doorway. One of them paused in front of a photograph. It showed my grandfather in uniform. Not their uniform, a different one, from another time, another allegiance. The officer studied it for a long moment. "You should remove this," he said flatly. My father nodded. No argument, no defense, just a nod. They continued through the house, opening drawers, lifting cushions, peering into corners. They found nothing else. But before leaving, the man with the clipboard turned once more toward the wall. "Images can be misunderstood," he said. The door closed behind them. The house remained silent long after their footsteps faded. My mother was the first to speak. "We can hide them," she whispered. But my father shook his head slowly. Hiding is discovery delayed. That evening, he took down every frame from the wall. Photographs we had passed 1,000 times without truly seeing. My parents on their wedding day. My grandfather standing straight beside a field of tall wheat. My aunt laughing with her hair loose in the wind. My brother as a baby, wrapped in a blanket with a crooked smile. Memories made permanent by paper. Except now they were not permanent at all. We placed them in a small wooden box on the kitchen table. The oil lamp flickered. No one touched the box for a long time. "It's only paper," my father said eventually. But his voice did not believe it. We waited until night. Not because fire would be less dangerous in daylight, but because burning memories feels like something that belongs to darkness. My father opened the iron stove. The coals inside glowed softly. Alive, my mother handed him the first photograph. It was the one of my parents' wedding. He held it for several seconds, as if trying to memorize it one final time. Then he placed it into the fire. The paper curled almost immediately. Edges blackened, faces warped. The image shrank inward before collapsing into flame. I did not expect the speed. I thought memory would resist longer. The second photograph followed, then the third, each one disappearing faster than the last. The room filled with a faint, bitter smell. Burning ink, burning history. When my grandfather's photograph came next, my father hesitated. His jaw tightened. "He would understand," my mother whispered. The paper trembled slightly in his hand before he released it. The flames caught the uniform first, then the face. For a brief second, the eyes seemed to look directly at us through the fire. Then they were gone. My brother began crying quietly. Not loudly, not dramatically, just small, contained sounds that made the room feel even smaller. I wanted to stop it, to grab the photographs back, to argue that memory should not be destroyed to protect ourselves. But fear is persuasive. Fear speaks in practical language. It says survive first, remember later. One by one, the images vanished, until only a single photograph remained. It was not framed. It had been tucked inside a drawer for years. A simple picture of all of us standing outside the house. Taken before the war, before uniforms had meaning, before knocks at the door carried threat. My father looked at me, then at my mother, then back at the photograph. "We can keep one," my brother whispered. Silence stretched long and heavy. Finally, my father shook his head. "If we keep one," he said, "we risk everything for sentiment." The word felt cruel. Sentiment, as if love were a luxury. He handed the photograph to me. "You should do it," he said softly. My hands felt too small, too awake. I stared at our frozen faces. We looked careless, unaware, alive in a way that did not yet understand fragility. I wanted to memorize every detail. The tilt of my mother's head, the crease near my father's eyes when he smiled, the way my brother leaned slightly into me. Then I leaned forward, placed the photograph onto the coals. For a moment, nothing happened. Then heat claimed it. The image twisted, darkened, collapsed inward, until only ash remained. The stove door closed. The room felt emptier than before. The walls were bare, blank spaces where frames had once hung. It looked like a house waiting to be moved out of. But we were not leaving. We were simply erasing ourselves. In the days that followed, I kept replaying the images in my mind, afraid they would fade as quickly as paper. But they did not. Memory does not burn the way photographs do. It shifts, softens, but it remains. Years later, when the war ended and the uniforms disappeared from our streets, the walls were still empty. We never replaced the photographs, not because we could not, but because the absence had become part of the story. Sometimes visitors would ask why there were no family pictures. My mother would smile faintly. "We carry them elsewhere," she would say, touching her temple. The day we burned our family photos was not the day we lost our past. It was the day we chose survival over display. The day we understood that identity can exist without proof on paper. Fire consumed the images, but it did not consume the laughter that once echoed in them. It did not consume the warmth of my father's hand when he placed the final photograph into mine. It did not consume the knowledge that love is not ink. It is not frame. It is not glass. It is something that survives even when walls are stripped bare. And sometimes in the quiet of night, when the house feels still and safe again, I close my eyes. And I see every photograph exactly as it was. Untouched by flame,